you're the subject. Adams is our subject that we've been working with. We've been going through the hip setter, using that. What I've noticed that has happened with him is his overall strength is improved. His balance is improved, but his posture, more than anything, is improved. He's upright in his movement, in his gait. That's more fluid. It moves better. Also, then in his running, it's more of a up motion also. I've had him do some things like just jogging, then running a little faster, just so he could feel what that feels like. So that's what I've learned, and that's what we've been working on.
Do you have any theories about what's going on that's causing that? I mean, I know you have a background in anatomy and physiology and everything.
It seems like there's a connection with like the pelvic floor and what's going on in there. I would want to be honest and say it's some things that I don't even know, to be honest with you. But I know the pelvic floor and its balancing of everything else lifting up seems to be where the strength is coming from and the stability is coming from. So the more we find out about that, I think the better we'll be.
So, I mean, from your point of view, you're the subject, what have you experienced over the last, several weeks?
In general, for me, I find that since I started training with you in the hip setter, that I find myself being more aware of how my hips and pelvic floor are, helping me do daily activities such as washing dishes while I'm standing at a sink, or if I'm just bending down to go get the remote. Just how I align myself, I'm more aware of it, and I tend to be better at how I navigate my environment now.
Is that more something that you're consciously pre-setting yourself in awareness, or you are aware that you're doing it differently?
It's funny. I think it's a little bit of both. And why I mentioned doing dishes first is because I'm doing a lot of meal prep, so I end up washing dishes a lot. So I've noticed.
Is this at your job, you mean?
No, this is actually, this is at my job and at home.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be at the sink, and before I started training with you and Carlos, I noticed that I didn't notice that in general my posture was just kind of like this. I was just comfortable like that. My feet were wider, but I was caved in. So now when I do dishes, I'll notice I'll go into that position, and then I'll put my hands in the sink, and then I'll say, oh, no.
Something
Something doesn't feel right. I get myself together, and in general, I feel a little taller. I will say that. That's kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of cool. I'm going to ask you a weird question. Psychically, emotionally, do you feel different? Because the first time that you used it, you said you felt powerful. That's not a physical, that's a psychic manifestation.
Yeah, I feel like in general now, I feel like I take up more space in a good way. I feel like my presence has improved. Just how I walk, how I approach people, and how I feel about myself in general when my body is in that position.